berserk. They throw colors at each other. They use syringes, sometimes flower balls, and the whole atmosphere becomes colored in red and in green, and everything is allowed. You can take colors and smear it on the face of a politician, no problem. You could even go to your temple president and say, ho, ho, hori, and then color them in colors. This festival is a little bit boisterous and wild when it comes to the word. It is very creative and loving when it is done in the spiritual world. Look at the picture of Radha and Krishna playing Holi here. They do this either in the water or outside of the water. This is more a water game where they spray water on each other, but they also use colored dyes and minerals. However, these colors all express a certain shade of love. You must know that there is something like a Vrindavan Rahini, a way of life in Vrindavan. And to become fit for this Vrindavan way of life, 3 types of visions must be adopted. Divyadvaita. That is, you must know that everything animate or inanimate has Krishna's part or angsa in it. Krishna is in everything. If Krishna wouldn't be in it, it wouldn't exist. And if Krishna wouldn't be in me, I would not be able to perceive anything. This is the Divya Dvaita, the divine vision where everything is one in Krishna. The second point you should know for Vrindavan is Bhavat Dvaita. A devotee who lives in Vrindavan knows that everything which happens on the rickshaw, everything which happens doing darshan in the temple is only the Leela of Krishna. Krishna arranges it. And the third concept for living in Vrindavan is I and everything related to me must be in the service of Krishna. Kriya Dvaita. In Vrindavan, when you are called for service at 1 o'clock in the night, get up and do the service. Because if you want to stay in Vrindavan consciousness, these 3 types of Advaita visions are necessary. Do you remember the first? Divyadvaita, yes, the divine vision, that everything is pervaded with the part of Krishna, and I can only see because I myself am a part of Krishna. Then second, I think you know it, but you have Bhavadvaita. Yes, someone said Bhavadvaita. That's the feeling which you should have when you're in Vrindavan, that whatever happens, even if a monkey steals your sunglasses, I'm very serious about this because it happened a few times to me. It is Krishna's pastime, it is Krishna. And Kriya Dvaita is the third perception, that everything you do should be done as the service to Krishna. This then is what makes the spiritual Holi different from the material Holi. Everything there is pervaded with love for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. If you can sing a little louder. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Oh Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Please, everybody, sing one more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar, Shri Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Oh, oh! Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Jai Shri Ram. Once in the months of Falgun, the spring was just approaching. Madhu Mangal, Krishna's bosom friend, approached Krishna with a serious message. My dear Syam, you have become weakened in the association of these cowherd men or cowherd boys. Yes, they say that you have lifted the Govardhan hill and you are very strong. But it is not true. It is because of two things. My Brahminical strengths and the mantras which I chanted. That's why Giriraj lifted himself up. And you, not knowing bashful and decent behavior, have gone under Giriraj and held it, pretending, or put your hand like this, pretending you were holding it. I'm tired of your company. You are weak. Saying this, Madhu Mangal began to dance. Everything in him began to dance, especially his tummy. And he danced so hard that the Brahman string came off. At this, Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends began to laugh and laugh and laugh. In fact, they couldn't hold themselves from laughter because it looked so absolutely funny when Madhumangal danced like that, and it especially looked funny when his treasured Brahmin string, the sign of his Brahmanhood, fell off. Madhumangal, however, became very serious. He said, on top of everything, you're disrespecting the Brahmanas. And a place where a Brahmana is disrespected is not a fit location. Spiritual people should know this. Only in a community where there is respect and love towards spiritual principles and those who manifest them or represent them, there is a possible living. Where there is disrespect, it cannot go on. So Madhumangal, in a pretense of a huff, left the camp of Krishna and went to the gopis who were waiting nearby. Now you must know one thing. In the mind of the associates of Radha and Krishna, both some of the cowherd boys, but for sure all the Sakis, there's only one idea. They want the divine couple to meet. And Madhumangal is in this category, that he only makes arrangement so Radha and Krishna could meet. So when he leaves Krishna, under the pretense of being angry, he has a plan that to bring Krishna to Radha's camp. So Madhumangal quickly went to Radha's camp, and when he came to the outskirts, the Sakis recognized him. Hey, this is the friend of Krishna. He is alone, without defense. Now we can grab him and teach him a lesson. We are suffering due to Krishna's antics, and now there is his friend, and we will punish him. So they all surrounded Madhumangal. Madhumangal's eyes became very great in fear, and they grabbed him. They brought him to a tree. They bound his hands behind the tree and his shikha on a branch, and they taunted him. There was such a commotion that Srimati Radharani herself heard it, and very gracefully she lifted herself up from her throne and moved to where the commotion was. And when she saw that the one who was so close, or is so close to Krishna, Madhumangal, was captured and taunted like this, she said, he is the friend of my beloved. You cannot do this. When Madhumangal saw Radha, he got up, he had a plan, and he smiled and said, Radha, your fierce gopis are too much. They do not know the first rules of hospitality to a Brahmana. So Srimati Radharani by then had reached him with her soft lotus hand. She untied the bondage, and Madhumangal was freed. So why have you come? Said Radha. Well, I'm tired of Krishna's company, and I think he's weakened. You should all, without hesitation, arm yourself with flowers and flower pollen and flower juices and attack Krishna. It is springtime, the time of Holi, and under my able guidance you will win. But first things first, said Madhumangal, I'm terribly hungry. So Srimati Radharani smiled. She knew Madhumangal's preference, and wanting to play Holi with Krishna and understanding this a unique opportunity to start the festivities, she said, feed Madhumangal. And when Madhumangal got a beautiful feast, then at the end of the feast, Madhumangal said, what is a feast without ending and completing it with makhan? Oh, Radha winked with her eyes to Sudevi. Sudevi, this hungry Brahmana wants some makhan, some butter. And by the way in which Radha looked at Sudevi, Sudevi understood everything. See, in the spiritual world, there's the language through words, there is the language through gesture, there is the language through the winking, through the eyes, and then there is the language through the ornamentation. For instance, when Srimati Radharani wears earrings in the form of the swans which face each other, Krishna knows we can meet. But if she puts her earrings like this, so that the swans look away from each other, Radha says it's not safe to meet. The language through ornamentations. There are about 2 million various ornamentations which say, this is quite developed. So Radha winked to Sudevi in a special way, I do not know how. And Sudevi said, okay, you want makhan. Do you want fresh or old makhan? Now this is a self-explanatory question. Of course, he wants fresh. So, okay, Madhumangal said, why are you asking this question? Of course I need fresh makhan. So said Sudevi, good. We will do it like this. So she took Madhumangal's chata, not her chata. And, oops, one moment. And made a ring like this. You know? Then she put a clay pot on it, and in it some milk. She got on some dais, and she began to churn the milk. You want super fresh, so we need to make super fresh. And she was going on like this for quite some time, and Madhumangal was going, Are when it's ready? It takes so long, and I've just completed, I've eaten it, there should not be a big time interval. It's just coming. Oh, patient Brahmana, said Sudevi, it was churning. So what was inside was not milk. It was many colors, green, red, yellow. And as Madhumangal became more and more impatient, all the gopis, knowing what would come, started to laugh and giggle and so on. And at one stage, Sudevi took the stick, broke the clay pot, and all the green and yellow and blue and pink, gulal, was running over Madhumangal, and all the beautiful gopis came around him. They took their sticks, they're from flowers, and they stamped them on the ground, and they began to shout, Ho, ho, hori, ho, ho, hori. Ho, ho, hori, ho, ho, hori. Yes, you get the idea. So this sound vibration produced by the beautiful voices of the gopis, which can melt stone, it's so beautiful, reached Krishna's camp, and Krishna wondered, what is the excitement in the other camp? Now, then the gopis took their flower sticks and they began to beat, not flower sticks, the sticks were for the pounding of the ground, but they plucked lotuses and began to strike Madhu Mangal, who screamed, "Oi, oi, oi!" And whenever he received a strike from the back or from the front, he jumped up because he's so sensitive. From the outside it looked quite desperate, but inside Madhu Mangal was getting more and more blissful because he had only this one desire. He wanted Krishna to come and meet Radharani. So he screamed outwardly, "Brahmahadya, this is murder of a Brahmana. Krishna, save me. Oh Gopal!" No? You have to chant, "Oh Gopal! You have protected Braj, the cows and the Gopas. O Gokulendra Tanaya! You're the son of Nanda. Please come. Don't fear these fierce gopis. You are Sridham Priya, Balaram Bai, Damoda. Oh, please, Trahi monk, please quickly come and protect me. I'm a soul surrendered unto you." So when Krishna heard this shouting of his friend, he wanted to immediately go to the gopis. But Subal held him back and said, "It's not good. The gopis have become so strong recently. They claim the forest of Vrindavan is owned by Radharani, not you. They want to slowly move you out of Vrindavan. And you know, they make this loud sound in preparation of a war. Now if you go over and they capture you, it is as if a king is captured by a foreign army. There is the war is over before it has started. Let me go and negotiate." So Krishna stayed back. He sent Subal, and Subal went there, and it is a long description, I cannot go into the detail. He negotiated, and finally he got Madhu Mangal out of the clutches of the gopis, and they came back. Then the gopis became super excited because they know now Krishna, who would see Madhu Mangal, his messenger, drenched in pink, red, what else? Blue, yellow, and you know, he was drenched but then smeared with colors. He looked like a ghost, and he looked very miserable. And so Krishna knew, had to retaliate. And but the gopis became very excited and started to throw colors all over the sky to further incite Krishna. So Krishna said, this cannot go unpunished. I mean, they drive me, the rightful son of Nanda Maharaj, out of Vrindavan, claiming the ownership over Vrindavan. I mean, what is this? And they took my messenger, who is my man, Madhu Mangal, and made him look like a ghost. So he took the Sakas on his side, and the Sakas took these huge drums. They're called berries. Have you seen these drums? Maybe in some of the temples in Vrindavan you have seen. They are as big as Indradumna Maharaj's cooking pots when he is on the Woodstock festival. And they began to drum the drums. Boom, 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 boom. Meanwhile, the gopis, hearing that the Sakas were preparing an attack, prepared themselves. They took syringes, they loaded them, and they tried them on each other. They took over their saris pouches full of powdered substances, like this, like ammunition. And Srimati Radharani, through gestures, said what she needed. So when Krishna marched on the top of his army towards Radha, Radha was ready to receive him. It is said when Radha sees Krishna, all the 8 ecstatic symptoms come in her body. But this time, she took a ball of flowers, dipped it into chandan, and threw it right on Krishna's chest. And because it was wet, the chandan spread beautifully all over Krishna's body. Can you imagine Krishna's bluish body and this yellowish chandan? This is mixed with kumkum, emanating from the place in his chest where he is hit. Krishna looked so beautiful that one gopi fainted. Krishna looked at Radha, who had thrown with her beautiful arm this ball of flowers on him, and became stunned. He could not respond. All the sakas saw the divine couple looking at each other in ecstasy and started to shout, Ho, ho, hori. Not like this. Ho, ho, hori. Ho, ho, hori. Yeah, it is good to shout and go beyond the Alachua mood, and just do something different. It is good for you. It is a good spiritual experience. Don't be shy. So on both sides, everyone was full of ananda, and they started to throw colors upon each other. Krishna was walking like a proud elephant towards Radha. Do you know how an elephant walks? They go left and side. They don't go like this. This is how a swan walks. But Krishna typically walks like this, like a young elephant. So his movements are not so wide, it's a little bit more like this. So Krishna was so intoxicated, and he smiled, and seeing Radha Rani, his beautiful face doubled in effulgence. It became doubly as effulgent as normal. Can you conceive of this? If you look at our Shyam Sundar, it's already double the effulgence. And he took red kumkum in his hands as he walked forward, and all of a sudden started to run and smeared Radharani's face with the red kumkum. Saints and sages see in these colors which the divine couple use messengers. And when Krishna uses red kumkum, it means a reddened or heightened loving emotion. And he stood before Radha and said, Hey Priya, just like a fish cannot live without water, I cannot live without you. Now is the month of Falgun, where Holi is played. And Holi made me do this and smear kumkum all over you. I can see that you are a little angry, but please take the anger out of your heart and play Holi with me. But Radha was very angry. She waved her index finger and said, now I understand everything. You always say many words. You say it's not your bad character which made you smear kumkum in my eyes. You say it's Holi, the festival where there are no limitations. You are a very sly talker, but I will give you an answer straight away. You don't need to flatter me by saying I'm the ocean and you are the fish. There is no need to convince me. that you have a good character. I know you are fickle and crooked. Don't talk. Then she took a lotus in her hand and in a pretense of anger, my dear devotees, in Vrindavan, anger is love. She hit Krishna in the face. Somewhere, maybe at Badahari's place, I told that in Vrindavan, this is known as a gulsha. Gulsha means a loving slap. When someone, even now in Vrindavan, the Brijbasis, if they love you and they give you a loving slap, that means they have accepted you. I remember once during the Govardhan retreat, it was during the time when Yamuna was still with us and visited us with Dina Tarini for our drama, our Leela drama. We had requested Madan Mohan Brijbasi, who is a very expert singer. He was a singer on the All India radio, but he was a Brijbasi like anything. So there was this Leela going on, and he was supposed to sing the, I forgot what it is called, now. There's a certain, the Samaj Gayan melodies, you know, the melodies which accompany the Leela, but he got carried away. So our man who was next to him, talking in Hindi when he should start and when he should stop, said to Madan Mohan Brijbasi, stop, you know, the drama has to go on. But he was just singing in ecstasy. So in the midst of playing harmonium, Madan Mohan Brijbasi takes his hand and slaps our drama producer in the face. And the drama producer, who lived in Vrindavan at that time and knew the ways of Braj, he still tells me, when Madan Mohan Brijbasi gave me a gulsha, I knew I was accepted in the loving fold of Braj. So when Radha takes a lotus and gives Krishna a gulsha, it is all right. But Vrinda Devi intervenes and says, we have to set this right. Krishna came up and smeared you, Radha. Holi means you throw colors. You were fouled. The right punishment for Krishna now is that you, Radha, put now kajal around Krishna's eyes. Krishna had no choice. He had to accept the referee's opinion. So Vrinda gives a sign with the eyes again to Sudevi. And Sudevi brings a little container with black kalsha, kajal, and Shrimati Radharani takes with her left hand Krishna's eye, chin, and Krishna looks at Radha, totally enchanted, and she takes her right hand with the kajal and wants to put it around Krishna's eyes, but because she's so ecstatic, she trembles and she begins to, the English word is smudge. See Krishna totally over his face, he has zigzag lines of, how do you say, kajal over his face, and everyone begins again to shout, ho, ho, hori. I will not do this now because you are hesitant, so we will maybe at the end. So Krishna begins to tremble in happiness and feels how this happiness is touching his heart. All the gopis, all the birds, all the peacocks see how Krishna gets smudged with kajal by Radharani at the time of Holi, and they cannot bring their eyes away. At this moment, the instruments begin to think, we need some music here. There are wind instruments like the flute and Chennai. There are rhythm instruments that are either hit with the hand or by a stick. There are string instruments like veena, tambura, sita, and finally there are different types of rhythm instruments, not exactly drums, but they are hit and struck like kartals. And all these instruments, seeing that Radha and Krishna and the Sakis and all the residents of Vrindavan cannot move due to seeing Radha and Krishna, all these instruments begin to make sound on their own. And as the music moves forward, the happiness of everyone begins to increase. And they begin to dance. First their feet begin to dance. Somehow, I don't know why, but that's the first thing. Then the knees begin to dance, then the hips begin to dance, then the whole body begins to dance. And then Krishna and the gopis engage in a very wonderful dancing. They throw gulal or colored powder in the air. They start to throw flowers on each other, and Radha and Krishna get in the middle, and they move in a way where they tell each other many, many stories, and so on. Then all of a sudden, Hare Krishna, the Sakas, the cowherd boyfriends, surround Radha and Krishna and the gopis from all sides. And the Sakas have dressed in a totally untraditional way. They act opposed to what is graceful and beautiful. They sing whatever they want. Some of them are dressed as women. How do you call this in America? Beautiful dressing, no? Oh yes, oh yeah. Some are wearing veils and scarves. Others are dressed like ghosts with unusual costumes and fancy dresses. And some are dressed like yogis with bodies covered with white ashes. And they all have come to support Krishna, who is under the grip of transcendental ecstasy. But as they attack, Radha gives a sign with her flower stick, and all her Sakis, millions of Sakis, begin to run towards the Gopas. They throw the colors, they smear the Gopas. They are absolutely in ecstasy because their queen Radha has just smudged Krishna's lotus face, and they press forward so hard that finally Krishna is forced to retreat. Yes, the Sakas cannot believe what happened to them. They are alone in a lonely forest whereas in the distance beautiful music announces the victory of Radha and the gopis. And Krishna assembles his Sakas around him and says, when a king in a battle has lost, he has no right to lead his army anywhere. You should all now desert me. You should go away from me. I will go into the forest. I will take on difficult yoga asanas. I will live from the air only, and I will perform tapasya. So it is done. All the cowherds' boys have to leave Krishna. And Krishna, only accompanied by Subal, goes into a kunj and he takes off his garments he puts white ashes on his body, he puts his hair up, binds it in a top knot like a yogi, or like Vishwamba, and he meditates. But whenever the sun rises and the sun shines through the foliage of the Kunj, he thinks, Radha, Radha has come to deliver me from my pain. Then he runs out of the cottage, and the Kunja. Kunja is, do you know what is Kakunja? Kunja, it is made from trees, different flowers, trees, and some of it grows into a room. Some kunjas have a terrace, a sleeping room for love, and all kinds of things. And the divine couple stays in this. But here Krishna is alone in the Kunj. And whenever he hears some sound, he suddenly jumps up and moves out, thinking it is Radha who has come. So Srimati Radharani, with her sakas, she's all of a sudden says, shh. The Sakis have said, Maharani ki jai, Radharani ki jai, Vrindavaneshwari, jai jai jai, Hari Priya ki jai. They have celebrated her. But Radha is not happy when Krishna is defeated. She only wants to be with Krishna. So she makes a plan to meet Krishna. Now I look at the time, and this plan to meet Krishna is too long to narrate here. I only wanted to show you a little bit what is beyond the Holi festival. If we can see the pictures again, there, when they play Holi in Braj, it gets quite wild. And there is one part when this last scene which you heard is celebrated. That is, the men have shields, and the ladies, Braj ladies, take their sticks and beat the men on their heads and everywhere. They have little shields, but sometimes they hit, and it breaks, for instance, bones. However, those who know how to play Holi will say, no problem. What they do is, they take a little dust from where it was happening and smear the dust overnight on the limb which is bruised, and it heals. I still have dust from last year's Holi plays, and I have used it when I had COVID. I finally got the idea, let me put some healing dust. I put it, and after 1 week I was out of the problem. It's healing dust because the Brijbasis understand this Leela, which you see in the spiritual world, and which we described, yes, is going on in Vrindavan. Radha and Krishna come when Holi time is to Vrindavan and play. And wherever the dust is touched by their lotus feet, there it is healing and has healing powder. So I thought to tell you a little bit about the Leela, and I do hope that you have gotten something of the Braj mood. I want to ask now our Amala Harinam to sing. You have a lot of time if you want. Hare Krishna. I'm a little bit Let us do a little kirtan, because some of you are getting restless. So much Krishna Katha at once is unused. I see some neural pathways glowing already, and restlessness is part of the audience. So maybe after the kirtan. Hare Krishna. No, Amala. Because that is how to do it. You need to hear, and so on. So all of Vrindavan shouts. First the birds announce, Radha Rani ki jai. Then Vishaka Saki proclaims, Radha Rani ki jai. Then the Asta Sakis, they go all over Vrindavan and they describe what just happened. That Radha Rani and her Sakas in a surprise attack have conquered the Radharani and her Sakis have conquered the Sakas, and the Asta Sakis exclaim, Radharani ki jai! And all shout, Nikunyeshwari, Shrimati Radharani ki jai! But Shrimati Radharani feels when her glories are proclaimed over Krishna's glories, highly unsatisfied, and as a result she goes into deep pains of separation. So we will sing a little bit. There's Krishna now. Where is Krishna? In a kunj. How is he dressed? Like a yogi, yes. He wears ashes. What has he done with the hair? Top knot, yes, you know everything. And he is meditating. He said he is meditating on the Brahman, but about whom is he really meditating? Radharani, yes. And when the sun comes piercing through the foliage, when there is the breaking of twigs, the sound he thinks or hopes Radharani will come. So, good. Actually, after this kirtan, I think I should, for completion, we should hear how Radha and Krishna meet again, because otherwise it is not a nice completion. I tell it very briefly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Please chant together very loudly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, one more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, one last time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much. This is what the devotees like to do, to chant Krishna's name and to be mindful of Krishna also. It is said that just like Krishna comes always with Srimati Radhika, in the same way, Krishna's holy name has also a Svarup Shakti, and that is Krishna Katha. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made this point that Krishna will never be alone. He always comes with his beloved Srimati Radharani. In the same way, the holy name is not alone. He always comes with the Bhagavatam and the Krishna Katha. It is necessary because, when we chant so much Hare Krishna, we should be mindful of the person whose name we are chanting. We should know how is he? How does he feel? What is in his mind? What would please him, so that we can engage in his service. So I would like to just finish this holy Katha. Maybe one day we will celebrate in Alachua. We did this in Goloka Dham. We started the Holi festival by offering the deities who were on a swing on the lawn, the colors, and the pujari put a little colors on both Radha and Krishna's faces, and afterwards the devotees were coming forward to swing the deities, and after the swinging they would receive the Maha colors from the deities. They would be colored in Krishna's, Radha and Krishna's color. And then at another station we gave them colors, and they could apply it lovingly and respectfully on those who were friends. Only at the end, the boys became a little bit temperamental, and then it spread into what you can see in these pictures which you have seen. But it's very important to know that the emotions which are behind Holi and the spiritual world are very pure and very, let us say, loving. The colors, the true colors of love show during Holi. So we have now the situation that Radha, who is glorified as being victorious in the battle of colors, is sad because Krishna has gone into some forest and cannot be found. So Vishaka, the very dear friend of Radha, cannot tolerate that her mistress, her beloved lady, is sad, and she knows the only thing which will cure Radha's sadness is to meet Krishna. Yes, you know so many things. No, I'm saying truthfully. So she goes out and searches in the forest and sub-forests of Vrindavan until she comes at Subal. She meets Subal, and Subal, you remember, was the only Saka who was still with Krishna. And Vishaka says, how is your friend? Subal says, terrible. And he is sometimes sitting in the kunja, sometimes he's running away from the kunja, trying to find someone on the pathways of Vrindavan. I don't know what should be done. So Vishaka says, your friend is very fickle-minded. He may be this, but then he's that. And he's not honest. He is not straightforward. He's not qualified to meet Radha. My Radha is so good. Your friend is so bad. So I said, can we have another talk, please? And Vishaka said, there's only one way. This fickle-minded Krishna can meet my Radha. He must take to the ways of a yogi. Are, said Subal. He's already meditating. He's already in ashen color. That's not enough. he must be very strong yogi. So then I can lead him to Radha. So Subal goes to Krishna and says, there's a way to seek Radha. And Krishna says, you bring news how to meet Radha, yes? You must become a strong yogi. So moments later, Krishna emerges from the Kunj. But how does he look? Whoa. He looks so strong. There is one huge red bindi over his forehead. The top knot is very straight. He has a deerskin mat under his arm. He has one of these, these gnarled tree things where those who chant japa, they rest their hand on so that the japa hand is not become tired even after 200 rounds or whatever. So he has big Rudraksha beads. No one has ever seen such tall size Rudraksha beads. Krishna comes and looks very serious. Oh, Vishaka gets afraid. Subal says, where is Radha? Vishaka, think maybe that gets a little bit too much here. He's so strong, yogi. So Vishaka says, follow me. So when the Sakis, who are very sad because Radha is there in a dejected mood, and they surround Radha and they don't know what to say or what to do, when they see at the edge of their circle there is a strong yogi coming, they become very excited. Oh, Yogi Raj, they say, please come closer. Maybe you can heal the sorrow of our lady love. And the yogi doesn't say a word. So Subal Saka says, he's a Moni yogi. He does not speak. Let me just get everything right here. So one other gopi addresses Krishna. Oh, Tapasvi, where are you going? Wait and stay and purify Vrindavan Dham. There is some cause of disconcern here. Something very wild went on, and colors were thrown, and the atmosphere seems to have gone a little out of bond. You must purify the atmosphere. So Chitra then brought an asana, but the yogi saw the asana there on the ground, and he took his foot, and with his toe he pushed the asana away, indicating that he does not sit on ordinary seats which are provided by the gopis. Instead, he rolls out his deerskin mat, and he sits very firm on the deerskin mat. Closes his eyes and meditates. But on what and whom does he meditate? Radha. Yes, he knows so many things. So Radha sees Syam, but he is so much in the disguise of a Moni yogi that for a moment it seems she is deceived also, and she offers her obeisances. The yogi just shakes his head like this, it doesn't speak. His top knot also begins to shake. But he does not speak. Only then suddenly he says, bum, bum, bum. And all the gopis go, wow, he's a Paka yogi. He said, bum, bum, bum. And Lalita, knowing that Krishna is able to take any disguise, is deciding now to test the yogi. She comes forward and says, "Oh Siddha, yogi, you must be a perfected soul. Tell me then what is in my heart." So Krishna sits with closed eyes. Then he opens his eyes and all the gopis go, he's so strong, he's a strong yogi. And then Krishna begins to speak in a voice which is the voice of a strong yogi. He says, "I usually do not stay with ladies, nor do I speak to ladies. But this is a special circumstance, because there is great grief here. You who have asked this question, please know you think only of one thing: how to bring a golden girl together to her bluish complexioned lover." Lalita, it's true. These were my truthful thoughts. Krishna is silent and again meditates. So they all know this is a Paka Siddha Moni yogi. And there is no doubt any longer. Only Radha begins to understand who the yogi truly is. So Radha explains, "Oh Lalita, he is told what is in my heart, but this is not very difficult, because my heart is melted with love." And as soon as Krishna hears these words, he understands that the loving anger which made Radha smudge him is over. And he becomes very relieved in his heart. And then Radha says, "It appears to me that he is nobody else than Sri Hari." At this the gopis go, "Wow!" And they begin to understand the ruse. They jump up and they attack. They move towards the yogi with menacing expressions. You know, I don't know the English word. Menacing expression. And Krishna says, it's not Paka for a yogi to stay amongst ladies, especially not if there are so many and he's alone. And he quickly rolls up his deer skin and wants to make an exit, but they surround Krishna. They immediately shave his hair and the top hat. They take away the Rudraksha piece. They wipe the bindi away, and one gopis whose eyes is very restless, put with her soft hands, pink color, and was throwing it on Krishna, and it started all over again. And the gopis said, "Oh, king of the cheetahs, try one more mischief, and then we will really give it to you. At this moment, your father cannot save you from the, and also your friend Madhumangal, who is so restless, cannot protect you with his stage. We have taken it away from him. There is only one way for you." And now comes something which you must know if you want to understand Krishna and Radha. Krishna is an extended subject matter. For some, he is the universal form. For others, he is the Brahman. For the meditating yogis, he is who? Paramatma in the heart, yes. For the Hare Krishna devotees, he's a distant God. Sorry, I shouldn't say these things. For the residents of Vrindavan, he is a very close, loving Lord who loves to dance in pastimes of love with his devotees. He's the flute player. He's special because he's surrounded by these loving devotees who have extraordinary prema for him. He performs the most wonderful pastimes like lifting Govardhan hill and providing shelter for all his devotees there. Krishna is, and more than anything, for some devotees, he is the beloved of Radharani. So you have to ask the question, everyone worships God, either as the universal form, the Brahman, the Paramatma, the distant God who's still only a concept, or the playful Lord of Vrindavan, who is with his beloved devotees. They all worship Krishna in some way. Whom does Krishna worship? Radharani. You know everything. By the way, this lecture was only about Krishna and Radharani, so it's not so difficult. So yes, so then when the gopis tell him, "O yogi, O beloved king of Braj, O beloved of Radha's heart, please, you have been defeated the second time by the cleverness of us gopis. There's only one way open to you." And Krishna says, what is that? You must pay your obeisances to the pinkish lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And if she accepts you, then only can you be saved. And Krishna, with tears of love trickling down his face. Love, why? Because he loves to be defeated and outwitted by his dearest devotees. He pays his obeisances to Srimati Radharani, and as Radharani sees him at his lotus feet, at her lotus feet, he gets highly uncomfortable and begins to breathe very falteringly, and so on. Then Lalita takes Krishna and helps him to dress as Krishna. What is Krishna's preferred dhoti color? Why? It's the color of Radharani. Yes. And Lalita hands Krishna his yellow pitambara, but his hands are so shaking that he can't put on his pitambara. Lalita does it for him. And then the divine couple meet all alone in the kunja. But here, those who tell the Leela say, I cannot describe, says Gadadhar Bhatta, what happened in the Nikunja, because this Leela should not be sung in public. It can only be meditated upon. I pay my obeisances to Nita Gauranga, to all the Goswamis of Vrindavan, to Swarup Goswami. Meditation on Radha Madhava is the only way for the soul to be satisfied. keeping Rupa and Svarup in my heart, I have written this composition about the holy Leela of Radha and Krishna. Who is this Gadadhar Bhatta? He lived outside of Braj, but he penned many songs about Radha and Krishna. Once Jiva Goswami was coming down the steps of the temple, Radha Govinda temple in Vrindavan, and at the base of the steps there was a sadhu who was singing one of the songs of Gadadhar Bhatta. The song said, "My heart is the color of Syam." Others say that Syam leaves the village of Vrindavan in the morning. I do not know what they are talking about, because my heart is the color of Syam, and for me Syam is always there. Jiva Goswami heard this song and said, "Who composed this?" The sadhu said, one saint called Gadadhar Bhatta. Where does he live? Said Jiva Goswami. Well, somewhere in Andhra Pradesh, I heard, said the sadhu. So Jiva Goswami said, find me this Gadadhar Bhatta. You only need, you give him a page. And he wrote on a page of paper something which was not longer than what you find here. It was in Sanskrit. So the sadhu himself was old and could not go, but he found two messengers and they went through all of Andhra Pradesh, and finally they came to one village, and there was a sadhu taking a bath, from a well. And they asked, is in this village a saint called Gadadhar Bhatta? The sadhu said, why do you ask? They said, we have a letter for Gadadhar Bhatta from Jiva Goswami from Vrindavan. The sadhu fainted on the spot. A letter from Vrindavan had arrived. He must have been wet with a wet gamsha, so when he woke up he said, show me this letter. And in this letter there was only one verse, one handwritten verse, 4 lines in Sanskrit. When this Gadadhar Bhatta read the verse, he screamed in ecstasy, and I don't know if he dried himself, I don't know if he dressed himself. He was dressed in a pakagamsha, no problem. But he started to run towards Vrindavan. I think he must have made some pauses on the way, but this is not described. He ran to Vrindavan and he took shelter in the Radha Govinda temple. Do you know what this verse said? You cannot enter the taste of what is Krishna unless you go to Vrindavan, which is marked with the footprints of the dainty steps of Radharani. You must go to Vrindavan where there is, if you want to enter the rasa, the taste of what is Syam. Because there in Vrindavan you meet the dear devotees of Radharani who talk about Radharani only. And there was one third thing which marks Vrindavan. So when Gadadhar Bhatta, who had earlier said, my heart is colored the color of Syam, when he got this letter, he said, you can only have the Syam color in your heart, the Syam Ranga, when you go to Vrindavan. And he read the verse and immediately made his way to Vrindavan, where he became the disciple of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis. And it is him, a great devotee, who has composed this particular Leela, which you have heard today. I tried to bring it to your ears and hope that some of it went into your hearts. I'm very unqualified for this, but even if a fool gives out drops of Charanamrita, the Charanamrita may or will certainly have its effect. So in the same way, I hope that even though I have talked about this Leela, because it's so sweet, that this drops of Charanamrita has reached your heart in some way and colored it. And next time you go to Holi, please do remember that it is not a, what is the English word, boisterous play, where your male and female aggressiveness gets a so-called religious expression. Remember the original Holi in the spiritual world, which is an exchange of love, where love shows its true colors. Shrimati Radha Rani ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. So I suggest, since we are sitting already here, and what will we do in the evening? What is more, we're already sitting here, so why not, should we sing a little kirtan? I understand that deities will open, isn't it? And what? So much time we have. Are you comfortable with? Yes. It is therapeutic.
Yes.
Well, in that case, then maybe I will sing a little. Then our local talent. Why not Amala should sing first? I'm a fan of Amala Harinam. No, you sing so nicely, really. So nicely. Have you developed it nicely? Then I do 15 minutes and then go Krishna. Yeah? So we do. Hare Krishna. Isn't it nice to hear about this? It's a different world, no? Hare Krishna. Yes. Hori, Hori, Hori. Hare Krishna. Please. Maybe he wants that this Krishna.
You're looking for Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please chant one more time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Bolo Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shyam.
Hare Krishna. What a pleasure to be together with you. It was wonderful. You were giving so much of your, let me say, do you have this in America, the energy of your heart? It means the goodness, the virtues, and so on. That's wonderful. Tomorrow we will have another evening, but it will be very different. We will have a drama by, let me remember his name, which is as long as a train, Sri Nam Vanamali Krishna Prabhu. So he will be there, and we will. Do I say it correctly? Sri Nam Vanamali Krishna Prabhu. Good. So thank you. Please do come. We will hear in the Leela section something wonderful. How Krishna returns from the meadows of Vrindavan, and how the different Brijbasis wait for him, and how he interacts with them. It is very sweet. So if you can come, it would be very nice. Hare Krishna. Good night, everyone.